Hello, 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 everybody. My name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. What's happening? I am back and feeling pretty good. Those of you who were with us last week know that I actually came down with the Rona. And, you know, it's been, yeah, I got pretty sick. But, I still have a small little bit of like phlegm, you know what I mean? So, but I'm not contagious anymore, at least according to the CDC. After you know, supposedly it's supposed to be 5 days after onset of symptoms or whatever, but still I'm isolating, you know, at least until next week. But I feel much better. I think I went through, the worst of it, you know. I had a fever for a good 5 days. That was not a good time, but really it never got to be too much. My fever never got more than like, I think I got up to like 100 and something. You know, it was actually, my wife had a much worse time than I did, you know, unfortunately for her, but still, it lasted a good 5 days. I think the worst symptom I got was a really, really, really bad sore throat. Like, it seriously fucking hurt. It was horrible. The sore throat was not a good time. And you can see I still have them a little sniffly, so if you hear me, like, you know, sniffling and stuff through the stream here, please forgive me. But, you know, I think I'm fine now. I actually never even took off, more than a half day from work during the entire thing, so, you know, I was never, like, held up in bed or whatever. But I did take a couple of half days and took long naps. See me or hear me anymore. Looks like I got disconnected very shortly there. Sorry about that. Don't know what happened, but let me just make sure that I'm still streaming, or if I should just start all over. But anyway, if anybody out there, you know, are like, if you have friends or relatives or family that, you know, still are of the anti-vax persuasion, it's like, you know, this could definitely save their lives, right? So, you know, get out there, get your vaccination, you know, and don't be stupid about it. Wear a mask, all that stuff, because it's still out there, man. Right? It's still out there, and you can catch it. And don't think that it's over. It's not over. You know what I mean? So, anyway, guys, are we even still streaming here? I hope that I'm streaming. It looks like I'm streaming. I had some weird connection issues. Let me just verify with myself here that I'm actually streaming, because that would be really bad if I'm sitting here talking and all this stuff. Okay, well, says I'm streaming. Anyway, guys, yeah, alright. Looks like says I'm still streaming, so that's good. Anyhow, so today we're going to be talking about stuff that is pissing off the right-wingers, because there are no bigger crybaby snowflakes on this earth than right-wing MAGA people. The culture warrior types, you know, the very people who have just spent the last, you know, 5, 6, 7 years building a brand about how they're like edgy and anti-woke and how like freedom of speech is all the important thing and all that. Those, of course, are the people who lose their minds over the smallest little perceived slight, the smallest little bit of unpolitical, you know, correct speech. Because there most definitely is political correctness from the right wing, and they have no compunction telling us every single time when something comes out that offends them and makes them clutch their pearls and gives them the vapors, you know. So, first thing I want to talk about here, because this is big in the news, is Lizzo playing Madison, President Madison's, God, the fuck. Sorry, I totally lost my place here. James Madison is what it was, right? He had, apparently, James Madison had a crystal flute. Right? So, James Madison was the, fourth president of the United States back in the, early 19th century, like, I don't know, something like 1811 or some shit like that. Right around then, he was the fourth president of the United States. And apparently he had a flute made out of pure crystal. And this flute that everybody totally knew was real, and we all knew was, you know, a thing that everybody completely knew about before Lizzo decided to go and, you know, use it during a concert. Full disclosure, I had no idea there was a flute. I had no idea that James Madison was a musician. I barely even know who James Madison himself is. Right? He's a president. He's not on any money, so he's not, you know, is he on the $20 bill or some shit? No, then it's like, do you know who he is? Well, kind of. I've read his name in a history book. But, you know, I'm no American president history fucking expert. I have no clue. It's like, oh, James Madison. Yeah, okay. Right, we talked about him in fucking, you know, 9th grade, I think. Something like that, right? And, yeah, to be honest, also, more full disclosure, I have no idea who fucking Lizzo is either. I don't listen to the music that young kids today... I'm, like, old and shit. Lizzo? Who the fuck is Lizzo? Right? I mean, anything that's, like, newer than, like, you know, like 20 years or something, I have no clue what it is. I have no idea what the young kids are listening to nowadays. You know what I mean? I don't listen to the radio. I don't watch, like, fucking, you know, I don't even... Where do you even get new music nowadays? What, YouTube? You know, it's like... I guess, is there still, like, MTV still around? Or do they even play, like, music on MTV still? Is it even still a thing? I don't even know. So I'm completely out of touch with all of this shit. All I know is that suddenly people start losing their minds because a black woman played a flute that, you know, and supposedly this flute is a big national fucking treasure and all this other baloney. Completely national treasure that everybody totally was, like, 100% emotionally invested in before this happened. And I just bring this up because it's a good example, I think, of this sort of conservative pearl clutching. Like, I can guarantee you all the people that just went on Twitter and are going on, like, you know, Parler and Getter and all the other right-wing Twitter ripoffs and are making videos on fucking BitChute and all of these people now, you know, people like the Quartering and stuff like that, like, who are like, you know, getting the vapors because, you know, this black woman had the audacity to touch something that belonged to a white president. Right? I can guarantee you 100% none of these people had any idea, first off, that James Madison owned a crystal flute. Secondly, even give a fuck about flute music. Who the fuck listens to, like, flutists? Like, is that a thing now? Is that just, like, a popular thing that everybody's into flutes and shit? Like, no. Nobody gives a fuck about flutes. Nobody gives a shit about flutes or flutists. Or when was the last time you went to a concert? Wow, this guy is a really good flutist. I just got, you know, $200 seats, the front row, it's gonna be awesome, you know. Like, get the fuck out of here. Nobody cares. Okay? Why is it in the news? Because a black woman did something. See, that's the thing. When it comes to, you know, pissing off the maggots, the MAGA chuds, the, you know, the Ben Shapiro types, the fucking Proud Boy people. When it comes to pissing these people off, and then also, like, included in that are like these sort of, like, dipshit right-wing culture warrior types, like the Quartering, or, you know, people like, yeah, like Nick Fuentes. Thank you, you know, Natnek, how do you pronounce your name? Lejic Natnek? That's is that like Icelandic or something? I don't know. Interesting name. But yeah, you're completely right. People like fucking Nick Fuentes. Like, you know, when it comes to pissing these guys off, you don't have to actually do anything wrong or bad or even like controversial. All you really have to do is just not be white. That's it. All you had to do is not be white and do something that gets in the news, and people like the Nick Fuenteses, the Quarterings, the Ben Shapiros, you know, and so on. That's all it takes for them to just unleash, like, unbridled hatred about it. Now, part of this is because people like the Quartering and Ben Shapiro and Nick Fuentes and everybody else, you know, who would say, for example, get mad at the color of an actress's skin or something like that. One reason for that is because this is how these guys make money. You know, we've kind of talked about this in the past, and it's the Ann Coulter model. You know, and I say that because Ann Coulter was sort of like the pioneer of this model of where that sort of outrage posting, right? Now, conservative pundits in the past, you know, like the first sort of wave of them, the Rush Limbaugh wave, right? They would do this too, but they would usually have to have something of substance to back them up. Rush Limbaugh would do a radio show, for example. And, you know, he'd be racist and shit like that, and, you know, he'd make he'd have like fucking racist guests on, and he'd make jokes like Barack the Magic Negro and shit. That's actually a song. Look that up. It's on YouTube. That was a thing that that Rush Limbaugh did. So just kind of showing you the kind of people we're talking about here, right? But usually he would have to have something of substance to say about it. Why did it make him so angry, right? And Ann Coulter was really the first one where she would just go completely bananas and say incredibly ridiculous, off-the-wall, like, mask-off, racist, homophobic, like, bullshit in order to get people tuning in. And she was like one of the first ones to do it, to just be like as like most like off the fucking hook, like, you know, insane as possible. You know, like she would say shit like the Bible says that we're here to rape the earth. Like that, like that's an Ann Coulter, like, paraphrasing, but that's an Ann Coulter quote. You know, like Ann Coulter on environmentalism. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna look that up just so you guys know that I'm not lying about that. I'm just gonna look up this quote. Ann Coulter, rape the earth. Yeah, this is it right here. Did Ann Coulter really say? Let's put this down in the chat for you guys here so that you can see. I am not making this up. This is Ann Coulter, right? And let me turn on my window. Nope, wrong window. Nope. Wait. Not that one. Main window. There we go. This is Ann Coulter right here. Did Ann Coulter really say the earth is yours, take it, rape it, it's yours? Yes, she did. That was her quote. Right. That was her quote. Basically, she said, wait, so is it on here? Are they not going to give me the fucking quote? They're not going to tell me the quote? Well, anyway, she basically said, the earth is yours, take it, rape it, it's yours. She actually fucking said that. Okay, that's her fucking quote. So let me just turn that off. That's bullshit. You know, why are you going to have an article and not even put the damn quote in the article? God damn it, fucking up my stream. Anyway, you get the idea, right? So now, these other people have sort of adapted this entire model, right? It's become the standard for conservative commentators, for conservative talking head type people, for pundits, right? Where they basically see some event that happens in the news, you know, and they have to comment like it's the worst thing that's ever happened in the history of ever. And it just so happens that, you know, this gets those conservative outrage clicks. And what really pisses conservatives off a lot? Non-white people. When non-white people do things and are successful, and that's really all it takes in order to make a conservative angry nowadays. You know, you used to have to do shit like, you know, to make a conservative angry, you used to have to actually do something wrong, you know, or at least make it look like the appearance of something wrong. Like, you know, you'd have to be like a football player that, like, gets caught, you know, beating his wife or something, or you'd have to be a mayor of a city who gets caught doing cocaine or smoking crack, shit like that. You know, you'd have to actually break the law in order to, like, you know, in times past. Not anymore. Now all you have to do is be successful. You just have to be a person who's not white, not specifically black, but black people are the #1 target on their outrage lists. Let's not get that wrong, you know. Please remember, like, if Lizzo was white, nobody would give a fuck at all. This would not even be in the news. It would be in, like, you know, of one of those 30-second YouTube videos. Oh, look at this, whoever this white person is, white, you know, artist or whatever, playing this crystal flute that belonged to fucking James Madison. Wow, how interesting. And that would be it, and it wouldn't be controversial. And why is it controversial? It's controversial because she's black. That's fucking why. So this here, as you saw me flash on the screen a moment ago, is, let's see here. They were more covert about it. Yes, they were. They were definitely more covert. Corvette. They were definitely more son of a bitch, covert about it in the past, because, you know, it's just, it seems just as the more that time goes on, the more they realize that they don't have to have integrity in order to make money. They don't have to actually have any sense of decency or even the appearance of decency in order to make money. And the more they realize that their people don't like it when they're decent. The people actually, you know, the conservative, like, base, their customers, the people who watch Ben Shapiro, the people who watch Nick Fuentes and give them money, they like it more when they act like assholes. That's what it is. That they like the idea when Ben Shapiro's up there ranting, saying fucking racist shit, or when they do stunts, you know, when politicians do stunts like fucking, you know, ruin the lives of a bunch of you know, asylum seekers on purpose in order to fucking pwn the libs or whatever. They found that, yes, this is how we make the most money. We get the most engagement by being complete fucking douchebags at all times, right? So anyway, I want to share this tweet with you guys. I'm going into this one blind. Let's see what Ben Shapiro has to say about Lizzo here. This is the link. And I think we can, did I just turn that on? I did turn it on, right? Why don't we make this a little smaller? You know, let's just put that down like that, and then we can make that full screen. Let's see what Ben Shapiro has to say about Lizzo here.
The first clip, totally uncontroversial. The one that actually made the rounds, however, was her twerking, because it is the contrast. That's the whole point that they are making. And commentators were saying this. It is the contrast between Lizzo, a significantly overweight African-American musician, right? Because the idea is that it's groundbreaking for an African-American musician to play James Madison, one of the founders of the Constitution, to play his flute. That's the groundbreaking.
To play his flute? Okay. So, you know, sometimes you can tell when these people talk, when their heart really isn't in it. I think in this instance, I think Ben Shapiro's heart is not in it. I think Ben Shapiro realizes that this is stupid and nobody gives a fuck, because he can't even take the time to say his own bullshit clearly, you know. Ben Shapiro is one of these guys that talks really fucking fast in order to make it sound like he's intelligent when really he's not intelligent. And he just sort of like parrots the same usual set of like standard conservative bullshit, you know. And it's his delivery that makes him sound like he knows what he's talking about. And right there, when he flubs it up, when he messes it up, right, it really fucks it up for him. When his delivery is not spot on, it makes him look like a complete fucking moron. Right? Just like we just saw right there. He didn't get that word right. He stumbled over his words. Now, somebody like me, I stumble over my words all the fucking time. Right? I'm not trying to pretend that I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm just a guy. Right? My entire, image is not based on the fact that I'm, a child prodigy and a genius and you should listen to me. It's like, no, I'm just some fucking dude who draws. You know what I mean? Adversary Fandon, hey, how you doing? Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it. Abu Shapiro doesn't exist. It's Ben in a wig. Abby Shapiro is a whole nother box of cats there. A whole nother bag of worms or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I was thinking maybe I'd respond to one of her, videos one of these days because she's on another planet, But yeah, she's basically just male Ben Shapiro. In fact, I think you're right. I think they're just the same person that, Ben Shapiro just sort of goes and dresses up like a girl and comes out and does double duty as Abby. But anyway, anyway, getting back to what I was saying, it really ruins his image when he doesn't get his delivery right. And I notice once in a while that only really happens when something is really fucking stupid. And this Lizzo controversy, quote unquote, is kind of the dumbest fucking thing that these people have gotten angry about in a long time. You know what I mean? This, if you really think about it, this Lizzo thing, has no important bearing on anything. It has zero important, it doesn't change anything, right? It doesn't, challenge or break or it does not affect anybody's life at all whatsoever. It's not like she took the flute out to a concert and then, broke it, or dropped it by accident and it chipped, or she stole it or some shit. It's nothing like that at all. She just went. Actually, I think they invited her, whatever museum it is that owns the fucking, owns the crystal flute, right? That everybody totally knew everything all about and was this national treasure that nobody had any fucking clue what it even was or that it even existed 3 days ago. Right. It's not like she went and fucking broke in and, stole it or, bought it or anything. They called her and was like, do you want to use it? And she's like, yeah. And then she used it. And, she's a musician. And it's so what is he referring to, right? There's video of Lizzo twerking as she's playing the flute, right? Why is that a big deal? Okay, she's a pop star, and she's not just a normal, she's an African-American pop star. That's what they do. They twerk. That's what pop stars do. Right? Pop stars twerk because this is modern music. She's playing modern music with it. She's not playing fucking, I don't know. I can't even name a fucking flute song, a classical flute song. What, Rite of Spring or something? Right? That has flutes in it, right? The Rite of Spring, or what? I think, I don't know. Does Mozart's Magic Flute, does it actually have flute parts in it, or is it just called the Magic Flute? See, that's the thing. Nobody fucking knows. Nobody cares, right? Because nobody gives a shit about flute music, right? At all, whatsoever. Ben Shapiro doesn't give a fuck about flute music, and that's why he flubbed his delivery, because he doesn't fucking give a shit, because he's reading it. If he actually cared, if it was something he was passionate about, something that Ben Shapiro is very passionate about, his delivery will usually be very spot on. His delivery was not spot on this time. It's because he doesn't fucking give a shit about it, because this is just paycheck for him. So please remember, he's not really outraged. He's just acting outraged because that makes him money, because he's a fucking little... He's like that slime. You ever, go to a beach and there'll be like a dead jellyfish or something, and it's like decomposing, and you step on it by accident, and it's like slime, like it's not even really like, you know, it's like sort of semi-organic, like decomposed like slime. That's what Ben Shapiro is right now. He's like jellyfish slime. Anyway, okay, went off on a bit of a tangent here. Let's I know we only got about fucking 20 seconds in. Let's listen to what else he has to say.
Aspect, but really it isn't even her race, right? They tried to make it about her race. It isn't really her race, because I'm sure that if they had wanted to find a better flautist who is black than Lizzo, I'm sure that there are many black flautists who are significantly better than Lizzo, right?
It is of her race. Okay, he just lied. That's a lie. It's her race. All right. We both know, you know, at home listening to this, I know saying this, Ben Shapiro knows, as he just looked at the camera and lied at his audience, he knows it's about race. All of us here know that if Lizzo was a white person, you know, there would be no controversy at all. There would be zero controversy whatsoever. The only people who would possibly get pissed would be flute enthusiasts. Who the fuck even cares? That's not a thing. There's not like a national like organization of fucking like flute people protesting in the street about it. It's literally the one thing on this earth that you can, you know, will affect no one, and, you know, just who gives a fuck? Nobody. The only reason that they give a fuck about any of this stuff is because of race. He completely lied his ass off. And then he also said, oh, they could have found a better flutist. Yeah, but who cares? Here's the thing about that, right? They could have found a better flutist. That's what he just said. Okay, they're in you know, orchestras around the world, right? Can you name a better flutist without looking it up? Without looking it up, name anyone who plays the fucking flute who's like famous. You know, I mean, if you happen to be like a fucking orchestra musician, maybe you know a famous flutist. If you're part of like the 5 people on Earth who like actually give a fuck about flute music, maybe you know, right? But no, you can't do it. Without going on Google or looking it up, tell me, name a fucking, you know, do you think Ben Shapiro could name a famous flutist person? Especially one who's black? No. Right? Because he doesn't care, because it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. He just has to be angry because this is how he's making his money. This is all a paycheck to this motherfucker. Dumbest shit ever. Moving on.
They play in orchestras around the world. I'm sure they are wonderful. And so if the idea was just going to be, we are going to take a historic instrument that belonged to a white Southerner who was in charge of founding the Constitution, and we are going to have a very talented African-American black person play that, that would have been really uncontroversial.
But that wasn't the idea at all. See, that is what Ben Shapiro thinks the point of this is. That was not the point of this. The point of this was to allow a pop star to play a flute. Yeah, a pop star who's an actual trained, you know, flutist person to, like, use this, you know, this flute in her music. That was the idea. And the fact that she's African American, you know, that she's black, is completely irrelevant to the conversation. See? That's the thing. So you'll notice they'll always, one thing you get from the right wing is that they'll always try to say, well, you know, race has nothing to do with it. You know, you're pulling the race card, blah, 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 right? When you point out that race does definitely have to do with it, they always try to turn around and say that you're the one pulling the race card, right? And I just want to point out that they, you know, this is him, he's the one, you know, the right-wingers, right? The pearl-clutching, you know, offendocrats who fucking can't go 5 seconds without getting the vapors over something, right? This is how they basically manipulate that to their own ends. There would be no controversy if this woman were white, right? But look what he just said. He just said, oh, if the plan was to use this, this flute from a white president and give it to a black person. No, that wasn't the plan. There was no plan, all right? The plan was to allow a musician to use this flute in her fucking concert. Race had nothing to do with it at all, okay? They're the ones that always pull the race card first. That's the thing. So whenever you hear somebody saying shit like, oh, you're pulling the race card, that's always an excuse. They are always the ones who are making the shit racial in the first place, right? This is what it was, this entire fucking thing is about. Maybe I should like open it up in another window, but nah, I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about that. Anyway, moving on.
Understand it's the twerk. It is about the twerking. The story is solely and completely about the twerking, which is why you didn't see the first video.
The story is not solely and all about the twerking. It is not about, it's not the fact that a woman, right, a scantily clad woman did something sexy, right, while holding a fucking crystal flute. Literally nobody on fucking Earth gives a shit about that. Who cares, dude? When did twerking become such a big fucking thing, right? Do you give a fuck about twerking? Does anybody give a fuck about twerking? What if we banned twerking? What if we completely banned it? Anybody who twerks goes to prison, rest of their lives, that's it, or fuck it. What if you twerk, you get the death penalty, and that's it, twerking dies out? What changes on Earth? Does that change anything? Does that stop crime? No. Does it stop drug abuse? Right? Will people stop ODing on fucking fentanyl and shit if we get rid of twerking? No. Does it stop fucking global climate change? Will there not be 6 fucking hurricanes in a row, one after another every fucking summer that completely destroys every country in the fucking Caribbean and puts Florida under 20 feet of water? Will that shit stop happening if we get rid of twerking? No? Okay. Will rednecks and fucking right-wingers and shit stop trying to steal elections if we get rid of twerking? Are they not gonna show up at the White House anymore and the Capitol building and try to fucking murder people when they lose elections? Is that gonna end it? No. What the fuck does twerking have to do with anything? Has nothing to do with anything at all. It's a sexy dance that pop stars do because that's what the kids like nowadays. Pop stars have always been sexy. I know that's another thing. I know, this whole this also whole filling your diaper shit over pop stars doing suggestive sexy dances. That's been a thing forever. Any of you guys old enough to remember back in the fucking 80s, people used to say shit about Madonna. Go back and watch old Madonna videos, Material Girl and Borderline and shit like that. People used to say those were racy back then. And then, she has one called Express Yourself. It's oh, you can see some cleavage. Oh no! Oh no! It's people used to call, the Christians in this country used to call Madonna the fucking whore of Babylon. I'm not even joking about that. You'd walk by, tabloids and shit. And it'd be Pope confirms Madonna is the whore of Babylon. Completely fucking ridiculous, right? This is not a new thing. I mean, I imagine it probably predates her. I imagine if we were to go back to the 50s and the 60s, people would be saying the same shit about whatever female pop stars were out back then as well, right? 50s and 60s and 70s or whatever. I don't know. So, it's nothing, it's not a new thing, Christians and conservatives and Republicans and shit getting mad at female pop stars for being sexy is the most basic bitch conservative thing there is. Right? So it's no, it has nothing, The fact that she twerked with it, I can guarantee you 100% that if Lizzo did not twerk while holding the fucking flute, Ben Shapiro still would be up here making this dumbass video. Giving his dumbass opinion, right? Because this is, you know, once again, how these people make money. They make money by spreading around hatred and fear, and, you know, what's easy to hate than an attack on our you know, our white fucking history or whatever. Right? This is how this shit is being framed. It's being framed as an attack on you know, the white race and all that stuff. You know, just go to anyway. Still only have a minute left here. Let's see what else he's got.
The first video has a few views. The one of her playing very nicely in the Library of Congress while dressed somewhat decently. It is the second video where she is twerking and wearing skimpy outfits with the flute. That is because the idea is to degrade the culture. That is what people. That is why the clip is viral.
So let's break down what he just said. The first video of a pop star playing a flute in a library does not have a lot of views. But the second video of a pop star doing a sexy dance while wearing sexy clothing while playing a flute has millions and millions of views. I wonder why. I wonder why people would not be interested in a woman playing a flute when she's like wearing normal clothes, and would be completely, totally interested when a woman is playing a flute when she's wearing very revealing and sexy clothing and also doing a very sexy dance. I wonder why. I wonder what it is. I mean, you know, I'm just trying to wrap my brain around it. Like, why? Why would one video get more views but another one than the other one? Why do people like the sexy video more than the boring as shit video? You know? Because flute playing is fucking boring and dumb, and no one gives a fuck about it. Nobody listens to fucking flute music. Right? So no one's gonna be interested if somebody plays a fucking flute in a room. Just, oh, look, here's a woman playing a flute. Yeah, okay, next. You know, fuck that, and I'll go on and watch some, like, funny cat videos or something. Do you give a fuck about a woman playing a flute? Does anybody care about a woman playing a flute in a room just by herself? No. No. No one cares. What about a woman doing a sexy dance where her butt is jiggling all over the place and she's, like, half naked? Oh, and also she's playing a flute. I'll totally watch that one. Dumbest shit ever. But how did he say that? Wait, no, let's rewind that a little bit, because he tagged some shit on there about, like, you know, profaning the fucking American history and shit. So let's rewind that a little.
It's with the flute. That is because the idea is to degrade the culture. That is what people. That is why the clip is viral. The reason the clip is viral is the contrast between a person twerking and the idea of an extraordinarily classy instrument, a historic instrument that speaks to sort of the gentility of America's founders.
Get the fuck out of... Oh, to degrade... Oh my god. What was his exact words, right? What was his exact word? To degrade the what? What did he just say?
In a person twerking. And the idea... With the flute, that is... Because the idea is to degrade the culture.
Degrade the culture. Degrade... So it's not... No longer... Right? So it's turned from a woman, you know, just playing a flute and being inappropriate to a conspiracy done on purpose to degrade the culture. What? I'm assuming, what, American culture? Right? Like, first off, like, we have this big history of flute fucking players in the United States. Right? Excuse me, like, I don't know, do we really? I had no idea that fucking flute music was such a big fucking, like, you know, deal, right? That it was just, you know, that it was like a defining characteristic of American culture. Like, what do you think when you think the United States? What, cowboys, you know, World War II, mom, apple pie, shotguns, and flute music. Right? Like, that's, you know, it's like, that's become the, like, synonymous with the United States and its culture, apparently, according to fucking Ben Shapiro. Goddamn moron. And then that's the other thing, it's like, degrade. Why did you have to bring that shit? Oh, it's degrading American culture. How the fuck does it even... How do you degrade something that has nothing to do with your fucking culture in the first place? Right? Flute music has nothing to do with the United States, has nothing to do with American culture. Nobody cares, and nobody gave a fuck about this instrument. Nobody even fucking knew the shit existed, right? And I guarantee you Ben Shapiro didn't know that it fucking existed. I mean, I don't know, he was a band nerd. Maybe he fucking knew. Maybe Ben Shapiro listens to flute music. Maybe he's like the one person on Earth that goes to all the fucking, like, flute recitals and shit. You know, maybe when he was a kid, they gave him a flutophone, you know, like those little plastic things that you get in 3rd grade, and he kept playing it, and, like, now he has, like, this massive fucking flute collection. Maybe he's the one flute nerd on Earth. Right? And he's really pissed about this. Or it's all bullshit, and he's just made it up for money, and he doesn't really give a fuck, and he's just reading something in order to, like, you know, make his, like, viewers angry and shit, so that they'll, like, buy his stupid fucking book, click on his fucking ads, and go listen to him and other dumb shit, you know, dumbasses say similar stupid shit on the Daily Wire. That's probably the real fucking reason. Degrade the culture. Get the fuck out of here. God, what a goddamn fucking idiot.
That is what people, that is why the clip is viral. The reason the clip is viral is the contrast between a person twerking and the idea of an extraordinarily classy instrument, a historic instrument that speaks to sort of the gentility of America's founders.
No. The clip is viral because of the twerking. You fucking moron. It's viral because people like sexy stuff. Okay? Sex is the #1 driver of traffic. Right? Sex is the reason we have an internet. For those of you who didn't know that, right? The reason why the internet exists is for porn, right? Porn is the biggest industry, biggest online industry. It has been since the internet started. The reason why the internet became such a big fucking thing in the first place was because of porn, because it was a way of delivering porn to people's houses straight to them in a semi-anonymous way, as long as you could get the computer out of the living room and shit like that, right? And it is to this day, and that's why when you go on YouTube and there's a thumbnail image that has big boobs on it, that video gets fucking 5 billion views, and it could be a video about, like, something that has nothing to do with the fucking thumbnail. It could be like, I'm making pancakes, and then you see 2 big old titties, and you click on that video because it's like, oh, I want to see them titties. And who gives a fuck? What is she actually doing? What is she making pancakes? Who gives a fuck about the pancakes? And don't, you know, that's exactly what it is. That's why you can go on Craigslist and you can see people posting photos. Oh, I'm going to sell my fucking, like, you know, I'm going to sell my fucking shoes or whatever. And it's like some, like, woman there with, like, two huge fucking, like, gazongas and shit modeling the shoes. It's like, that's why you clicked on it. You didn't click on it for those shoes. It's like, do you need another pair of Air Jordans, like another one? No, you don't, you don't give a fuck about that. Show me them titties. I'm just saying that this is the truth. I'm sorry. You know, real life is fucking, this is real life. People like sex. People like sex. Women like sex too. Okay, it's not just all men. You know, like, I mean, yeah, okay, a big chunk of it, obviously. Women watch porn also, right? They do. I mean, probably not as much as men, but they fucking do. Women like getting laid just as much as men do, right? Women even like watching other sexy women. Like, why? Because it's fucking, the shit's hot, you know? And sometimes they like to watch it for whatever reason. Sometimes they want to, like, try to pattern themselves after what's going on there, like how is she dancing, stuff like that. I'm going to try it myself, etc. You know, sometimes they're doing it for fashion, you know, fashion tips or whatever. Or sometimes they want to see the guy in the video. And there's, you know, who knows, whatever fucking reason it is. It doesn't matter. You know, it's just the fact. The fact is sex sells. All right. Nobody watched that video because it was degrading to the culture. Nobody was sitting there going, "Oh, look at that. Look at that flute that a fucking, you know, slave-owning white president had and how the tables have turned." Oh, yeah, nobody's masturbating to that shit. Okay. So nobody's sitting there like no social justice warriors are sitting there spanking it to how the fucking, you know, tables have turned and the oppressor has become like, you know, like, you know, the ruler and shit. That's bullshit. Okay. People just wanted to see Lizzie's ass jiggle. Right? Ben Shapiro's a fucking moron. Moving on.
Being brought into a context that is vulgar. It's the vulgarization of American history. Again, Lizzo did both, and only one of those clips went viral.
Vulgarization.
And so if you notice that, then you're very, very bad. If you notice that, then this means that you're some sort of racist, or it means that you don't want black people playing the flute or something. No.
Yes. Yes, it does. It means that you're racist. If that's what you brought away from that, right, from watching those videos, okay, because I've seen both the videos. I'm not going to play them here. Both of the videos, one of them where Lizzo is just chilling, and they hand her the flute, and she tries it out. And then another video where she twerks, right? At a concert, later on, she has a concert, you know, they loan it out to her, or I don't know if she had to rent it or what, but I was under the impression that they loaned the flute to her. And she plays her own music at a concert. Well, this is what her fucking music is. Number one, right? She's a pop star. She's going to do a sexy dance. That's what pop music is nowadays, okay? She's not like, I mean, she's like a classically trained flutist, but that's not her music. She's not like gonna go to a fucking concert in order to give a boring ass flute recital. She's gonna give a concert of like crazy sexy ass music because that's what her people are there for. They're there to see, you know, pop star do some awesome music and be sexy, right? Because that's the whole fucking point of going to see a pop star in fucking concert. Right? That's the whole goddamn point in the first place. Why do you think somebody like Rihanna dances around when they give a show? Like, would you go see Rihanna if she just sat in a chair and didn't do shit and just sang her song? It would sound the same, wouldn't it? No. You don't go to a concert to listen to music. Okay? Because music at a concert always sounds like shit. You know, it always sounds like shit. It doesn't matter where you are. You're not getting the best audio experience for music at a concert. You go in there to have a good time, to watch the performance, number one, and yeah, sing along with some of the music. I mean, it can't sound completely fucking shitty, but usually, you know, usually it's not the best audio experience at any concert. You're there to have a good time with your friends and to watch music that you enjoy and to, like, you know, get down with it and maybe shake your booty a little bit depending on whatever you're watching, or, you know, shake your booty or bang your head or whatever kind of thing you do at whatever type of music you're listening to. Right? And it's there to have a good time. And part of the good time is watching the show. And when it comes to pop stars, the actual show is them dancing around. I mean, it's them singing and playing instruments, but it's also like the choreography and all of that shit, and like the fucking lights and like, you know, the whatever special effects they have. Sometimes they have like fireworks and shit. Sometimes there's like, you know, like screens on the side. Sometimes there's like special effects going, or mist, or like whatever, you know, that kind of thing. That's all part of the show. You know, it's like, have you ever seen Iron Maiden? I saw Iron Maiden once, long time ago, and they had this huge like Eddie puppet thing with like arms that shot out, and there was like fire. It was like the Eddie from Iron Maiden, but like with the mummy bandages, like he was the cover of that one Power, what was it called, Power Slave or whatever, I can't remember the name of the record, you know, and it was like this huge thing and its arms were moving around, it was all animatronic and shit like that. That's why you go to a concert, you know. I saw Pink Floyd once too, way back in like fucking like 1995, and Pink Floyd somehow managed to predict the weather to the point where they projected lasers on the clouds. And it was the coolest fucking thing ever. Like Pink Floyd, it was the Division Bell tour, way back then. I think that's actually the last time Pink Floyd ever fucking played in concert. Yeah, they had like lasers like on the fucking sky, you know, like that's what you're there at a concert for, right? For stuff like that. I saw U2 once, years and years ago, and they had this like 100-foot tall TV screen back when shit like that was impressive. This massively huge like LCD like television, and it was like the first time anything like that was ever like at a concert, you know. And the light show was crazy. Although of all the concerts I went to, Pink Floyd had the best light show. But still, you know, that's what you're there for. You're not, if you just want to listen to the fucking music, you'll just listen to it, you know, on your fucking like phone or whatever. Like in the privacy of your own home, it'll sound better, right? And you won't have to pay $200 to fucking hear it. So it's all, you know, that's why that the second one was more viral, because it was sexy, because, you know, that's why she was dancing around, because it was a fucking concert. It was a show where she was playing pop music, right? Nobody, and the way you listen to Ben Shapiro, the way they say it, suddenly this is like some fucking master plan by George Soros or some shit to, like, you know, denigrate the American culture and make it worthless. It's, get the fuck out of here. It's like, how can anybody listen to this shit with a straight face? It's the dumbest fucking... so fucking dumb. Anyway, how much time we... Alright, we have exactly 2 seconds left, so fuck Ben Shapiro. Let's turn this shit off. There was a thing I wanted to show you guys, though. Let me just go over here. Just to kind of show you that, you know, because Ben Shapiro sounds ridiculous, right? It sounds dumb and stupid, and why would anybody have these opinions? This is from the Federalist Society, right? The Federalist, which is a libertarian website. Let me put that down in the thing for you guys. And just to show you that Ben Shapiro is not unique in his opinion, Lizzo twerking with Madison's flute is the antithesis of civilizational excellence. Civilizational excellence. Okay. I can totally read. This is what she was wearing, by the way. Right. Which, when I said, yeah, you know, it's kind of a half-naked thing, and, you know, but she's a pop star. Right. How do you expect her to dress, by the way? Right. But I wanted to read a little bit about this. I only kind of skimmed over this before, and I won't read the whole thing. Right. But, you know, remember the Federalists, you know, they're basically libertarians. These are the small government, you know, everybody should be free to do their thing as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. Kind of your freedom to swing your fist ends at my face type people, supposedly, who are also very much also like to say that they're not, you know, racist or whatnot. Right, but then in real life, everything they fucking say has definite racial undertones. James Madison, the world's great political mind, the new world's great political mind, excuse me, appeared coincident in history with Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, the world's great artistic mind. Of the entire founding class, it is Madison, born 3 months after the declared start of music's high classical period, who lived most contemporaneously alongside mankind's greatest artistic achievements. I would argue that we've had far more great artistic achievements since the 1790s or whenever. I mean, I'm not trying to denigrate Mozart. I actually do like Mozart. Mozart is one of the few classical musicians I actually know about and listen to on a regular basis. I mean, and I'm just admitting that because I'm admitting that I am not super like fucking keen on classical music. I'm not. I know Mozart. You know why I know Mozart? Because Mozart's famous. I'm sure if there was like other famous classical music, I would probably have heard and probably listen to that too. But Just letting you know right off the bat that I'm not trying to claim that I'm some kind of expert on this shit, because I'm not. I'm no fucking expert on classical music. I have no fucking clue what classical music is. You know, why do I know Mozart? Because they made a movie, right, about Mozart, you know, Mozart's life, and it was a good movie, and then I started listening to Mozart after watching that movie. And that's why I know who Mozart is, okay? I know who Beethoven is. Why? Because he's famous. You know, he was super famous. But who listens to shit like Soliari or whatever? Like, you know, I only know who fucking Soliari is because he was in Amadeus, right? My point is that, you know, no one really gives a fuck about classical music. Not really. Not, you know, it's a very small, much smaller segment of the population. I mean, people like my grandfather listen to fucking classical music, you know, or whatever. It's not the kind of thing that the masses of people, you know, it's not mainstream like pop. It's very niche, right? And I'm just admitting out there, I'm not going to try to claim that I'm like, you know, some kind of super cultured, like, you know, enlightened person who like knows all about this stuff. I have fucking no clue about any of it. So I want to get that off the bat anyway. But yeah, but I would, getting back to the point here, I would say that there's been much more in the way of great artistic achievements in the last, you know, 200 years or so, right? 300 years since James Madison and Mozart lived. Anyway, not entirely unreasonable then that Madison would come to develop a taste for fine art and culture. A taste which developed, then flourished, not least by way of his enduring relationship with his political ally and predecessor in office, Thomas Jefferson. Fitting too that the Madison household remains renowned for perhaps the greatest artistic rescue mission in American history. On August 24th, 1814, Dolly Madison coordinated urgent removal of the White House copy of Gilbert Stuart's Lansdowne portrait on the same day the British forces bore down upon the Capitol, eventually setting fire to the executive mansion. Yeah, that's true. She saved a lot of the rare... It wasn't just that picture. There was lots of the rare artwork that was in the White House. She insisted that they take it with them. And then, you know, then the British showed up and torched the White House in the War of 18... it was like the War of 1812. Right. So, yeah, okay. How does this all relate to Lizzo playing a flute? I don't know. Okay, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Skipping down. Exhilarating Jeanette for sure, but the Madison's love for art was no fickle adventure. So like many ill-understood aspects of life in centuries past, the Madisonian Jeffersonian preference for elegance, restraint, balance, and formal structure in a word beauty reflects not the petty indulgences of a haughty elite, but rather the patriotic aspiration to a civilizational excellence. I don't see how you can ascribe a motive to that. How the fuck would you know that it's a patriotic aspiration to civilizational excellence? That kind of just sounds like some made-up bullshit that they ascribed a motive to the reason why the guy liked art. Who cares how he liked, why, or, you know, like, why does he have to have a philosophy behind liking art? Don't have to have a philosophy behind it. And then trying to impose, I mean, is there writing somewhere from James Madison saying this is the reason why I like art is a patriotic aspiration to civilizational excellence? I mean, okay. Anyway, my point is they're ascribing motives to historical figures in the past, which we have no way of actually verifying or knowing in order to make a political point, which they will here in a few moments. You know, a completely unfounded political point. Civilizational excellence in decline. That ambition stands in stark juxtaposition to the crude morass in which our fourth president's antique crystal flute was thrust as a stage prop at Lizzo's Washington, D.C. show Tuesday night. Oh, they have a link. Is she actually going to twerk? I think we can get away with watching you know, I didn't want to play any of it because if it has her music in it, it could, like, copyright stuff, right? But, if they have a tweet of it, then I think we can play the tweet, right? Okay. Give her the flute. nice. You know, she's big, she's black, she's sexy, she's like half naked. Okay, I can go for that. You know. I had a black girlfriend once who, she had, her shit was so big. Oh my god, she had the biggest, roundest, this is like, God, 25 years ago. Anyway, yeah, so, you know, this is actually very appealing to me, is what I'm trying to say. Let's watch it.
It's crystal. It's like playing out of a
you know, you just have to be, you know what I'm saying? What I'm trying to say is all shapes and sizes and colors are welcome in my house, so. That was it, folks. That's the controversy right there. So she just sort of played it for like 2 seconds, shook her booty a little bit, and then gave it back. Right? She didn't even like use it for the entire fucking concert and like play a song. It's not like she played a song saying like, you know, fuck James Madison. Here's my new song. It's called Fuck James Madison. I'm gonna play it using his flute. And then she didn't like use the flute and then like fucking, you know, masturbate with it afterwards. It's not like there's video of her like like using the flute as a dildo or some shit. You know, like then they didn't like take the flute and like go and stab a fucking white baby through the face with it afterwards. Like, no, it's bullshit. She just played it and then like shook her booty and was like surprised, made a goofy face, and got the audience reaction she was looking for, and then she gave it back. And this is like civilizational decline. Get the fuck out of here. So ridiculous, man. Anyway. Oh my god. What does the Federalist have to say about this? But of course there was no music to it, just a solitary farted out C. Farted out. You know, like she put like the fucking, you know, like she put the crystal fucking like flute in her butthole and like farted out. Farted out the notes, like as she was like shake. That's exactly, yeah, that's what happened. See, you know, you can't trust your own eyes, folks, right? That's what really happened, is that she like anally inserted the flute and then like used her like flute mastery to like fart out a song called Fuck James Madison. That's that was that's what she did. Oh my god. Adversary fandom. There's a video of young Ben playing violin. Apparently Ben Shapiro was a violin like prodigy or something like that. I was reading about him. Yeah, apparently he like had the violin lessons as a kid, and that kind of set him on this path to where he could never get a woman wet in his entire life, because, you know, chicks do not dig the violin. They dig guitar, and that's why he was a virgin until he was like 29. Right? Let's just keep that in mind, folks. When you got your kids and you're getting your kids music lessons, give them instruments which will benefit their social life, not fuck their social life up. You know? Girls do not like accordion players. Moving on. In twerking, it seems, it seems we always find the very antithesis of that aforementioned civilizational excellence. Not just the act itself, which, to be sure, is a special variety of 21st century personal vulgarity, but in the collective response it provokes. Why is twerking vulgar? Number one. Right? And the collective response it provokes. Well, what response are they talking about there, right? Kind of sounded like from the audience they liked it. You know, So it makes sense that when you do something and the audience like it, you do it some more, right? But why is twerking vulgar? You know, she has clothes on, she's not naked, right? It's just, you know, your butt going up and down, so who cares? Like, it's, you are the one who's making the shit vulgar, alright? It's no, twerking is no more vulgar than very close slow dancing. When you get two people who are slow dancing to very, like, you know, lovey type music or whatever, and they're like, you know, putting their, the woman puts her face on the guy's chest and they're slow dancing really close, and the guy's trying his best not to feel her butt or whatever, stuff like that. And, you know, cheek goes to cheek and that kind of thing, and that's the whole point. You know, dancing like that is essentially foreplay. And that's why people dance, by the way. Any of you out there who, you know, the whole reason why men and women dance together, or men and men, or women and women in a social situation, is it's foreplay, right? Because you get your body moving and you get close to the other person, right? And, you know, you get some, get some action happening there, and you're moving back and forth in a suggestive way. And, yeah, that's why going out and dancing is a great, you know, date, right? Especially with somebody that you're really into, that you really like. Going out dancing is kind of an awesome thing to do, right? That's why it's popular. And that's why it's been popular for literally centuries. Okay, it's not like men and women dancing together. You know, young people, I won't say men and women because, you know, but young people who want to get it on, dancing with each other has, like, been a popular thing for fucking eternity. It's not like that just started when Lizzo came out and twerked with a fucking flute. Right? Like, literally fucking decades. You know. But yeah, special variety of 21st century personal vulgarity. Yeah, right. Get the fuck out of here, right? That's the other thing you gotta remember about conservatives, right? You know, when the chips are down, right, conservatives are a bunch of prudes who, like, are unwilling to admit to themselves how much of our daily life really revolves around sex, right? And, you know, whether this is because of their religion, which usually that's what it is, you know, usually it has to do with a religious upbringing, but whatever fucking reason, you know, this is why ultimately conservatives always lose the culture war, right? It's because people like fucking. People like to fuck. People like to get together and have sex. And people like to have sex with people that they're not married to, right? And that they have no intention of marrying, right? And that should be okay. And really, when you kind of think about what is the culture war all about, it's about some people who think you shouldn't be allowed to fuck, and other people who think you should be. This is what all of it's all about, right? This is what all of the groomer shit is about, and the resistance to trans rights. It's because, you know, conservatives think that trans people should not be allowed to fuck, right? This is what all the resistance to, like, you know, all when they try to say that gay people are groomers and all this other crap like that, and, you know, why don't they want gay people to get married? Because they think that gay people should not be allowed to fuck, okay? And they're trying to use children in order to stop it. Now, they want to get with, you know, they're a bunch of pedophile groomers. It's like, no, that's bullshit. It's just they want to be able to take away your right to get down with whoever you fucking feel like. That's what it all is, right? That, and also white supremacism. That's a second. A close second is they also want white people to run everything. And here we have kind of a cross-section of that. We have people who are pissed that a black woman is doing something and she's successful, and also that she's sexy. And it's like, oh, a black woman is making money and also people want to fuck. Wow, this is like, you know, numero uno on the culture war hit list. Right? Ridiculous. All right. It is the twerk that seems to evince in any crowd. Invince? I have never heard that word before. The fuck? I'm assuming it means something like instill from the context. It is a twerk that seems to evince in any crowd a manifest succumbing to the worst angles of our natures. The worst angles of our natures. The brainless shrieks of approval, the demented adoration for an unveiled sexuality, not content with mere liberality, but further possessed of a flippant, aggressive, and unapologetic performative disposition. Trying to cut through the $5 Scrabble words. What are they trying to say? People like sexy stuff. Right? And this is ultimately, like I said, they can't handle it. Oh no. Oh no. Successful black women doing something sexy. This is a degradation of our culture. You know, I am going to submit to you all that our culture is better. Now, let's turn this fucking bullshit off. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. They basically go through and say, blah, 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 we must just rediscover reverence, blah, 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 reverence for the fucking 19... You get the fuck out of here. Reverence for fucking James Madison's stupid fucking flute that no one gave a fuck about before, you know. Oh, man. Our first 4 presidents would surely stand in horrified witness at how their almighty cultural ambitions today stand poisoned by the grotty burlesque of modern celebrity. All this is fucking like diaper-filling pearl clutching about how rich black women did something sexy and people liked it. That's really it. You know, this is the whole fucking reason everybody losing their minds over a fucking flute player. Flute music! No one gives a fuck about flute music. Let's turn that shit off. Anyway, you get the idea. I thought that article was ridiculous. It was the perfect example, in my opinion, of these fucking, like, you know, crybabies. Conservative bullshit crybabies who will drop their fucking pants and shit themselves over the dumbest fucking shit. This is why are we talking about this? This is a woman played a flute. It's the dumbest fucking shit. Right? You know, Matt Walsh. This is fucking Matt Walsh. Right? Matt Walsh is sort of like Ben Shapiro's dumber little brother. You know, who's like a bigger asshole but not as fucking, you know, but twice as stupid. Right-wing media attack Lizzo with demeaning and fat-phobic smears because she played James Madison's crystal flute. Let's put this down in the chat for y'all. There you go. Matt Walsh, I think there's actually... Here we go. This is what I wanted to show you here. This is Matt Walsh's tweets against it. Right. Correct, I don't have direct knowledge of every artifact in the Smithsonian, but I'm still very much opposed to any of them being used as a stage prop by a twerking degenerate in a thong. Why did he decide to call Lizzo a degenerate? Do you even... What does Lizzo do? Is she... what? Why is her music a degenerate? You know, usually when they say degenerate, they usually use that word in context of trans people or gay people. Is Lizzo gay? Is she not, you know, straight? Is she a trans person? Or is it just the fact that she decided to do a little sexy dance with it that makes her a degenerate? Right? You know what I think is a degenerate? Someone who tries to use the law to force you to live the way that they want to live and, you know, take away your rights, right? Kind of like Matt Walsh does with abortion, with trans rights, with his whole thing where he's like fucking threatening these children's hospitals recently and getting them bomb threats and crap like that. Passing, you know, Matt Walsh is like Matt Walsh is on this kick now where he's going out and accusing children's hospitals of giving underage kids top and bottom surgery when in real life they don't. When in real life that's not happening at all and it's all a complete lie. And now doctors and stuff are getting death threats because of fucking Matt Walsh. Children's hospitals, it's Boston Children's Hospital is what it is. There are doctors there who are, you know, hiring bodyguards and shit because Matt Walsh's fucking, like, dumbass, brainless fucking audience, right, is, like, calling them at all hours of the night, sending them threatening emails and, like, making fucking bomb threats against a children's hospital thanks to this fucking guy, right? That is a lot more degenerate to me than somebody doing a sexy dance. I don't know, just me. Matt Walsh. Lizzo is a morbidly obese weirdo in a thong, twerking around a stage while playing with a priceless piece of American history. That's the level of care we're talking about. Also, I don't give a flying shit if it's honor of her. That's not the point at all. Morbidly obese weirdo. See, and this kind of, you know, if you sort of read between the lines here, you can see why is he calling her a weirdo? Because she's fat. If she wasn't fat and she wasn't black, this would not be on his radar at all. Nobody would have gave a fuck whatsoever. So when you hear them say things like, you know, it's not about race, it is most definitely about race. And they also have to throw a little bit of fat phobia in there too, you know, on top of it. Also, I don't give if it's a flying shit if it's in honor of her. That's not the point at all. Kind of sounds like that was, you know, her point, and I don't even think that had anything to do with it whatsoever. I think what really it had to do with was a musician playing some music at a concert, you know, who's in honor of everything. And why the fuck do you need to honor anybody? It's an object, you know, the flute is an object, okay? Like, who gives a fuck who owned it and where it came from? Right? I mean, I don't know. Dumb as fucking shit. Here we go. We already watched the things. We won't watch that. Simply desecrating American history just for the sake of it. How is it desecrating American history for someone to do a sexy dance for literally like 5 seconds? You know, she didn't like take this, and that's the thing, she didn't do anything with the goddamn flute. She didn't take the flute out and then like beat a piñata of like, you know, George Washington with it, and then like rip it open with a bunch of like condoms in Mexican flag colors that fell out. Like, you know, it wasn't anything like that. You know, that would be like desecrating American history, right? She didn't like take it and then like, you know, take it. She didn't like take the flute and then get like a fucking bald eagle and then like shove the flute up the bald eagle's ass and then like roast it over a fire or something like that, and then like eat it while screaming, you know, God bless the Queen or whatever. Like, she didn't do it. I mean, how the fuck is it desecrating American history? Nothing like that. It wasn't obscene. It was like a woman playing a goddamn flute. Pearl clutching bullshit. Here's Ben Shapiro. Oh, this is the same thing that we already saw of Ben Shapiro, so the vulgarization of American history, right? Nick Adams. If you guys remember from a few weeks ago, I gave a brief history of Nick Adams. He's a conservative pundit from Australia who basically has patterned his entire career about being on Trump's jock. That's Nick Adams. His entire thing. He's the guy that said that, you know, everything that Trump did is correct and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, kind of his entire brand is just sucking Trump's dick as much as he can. Lizzo isn't talented enough to play music on a $20 Yamaha plastic recorder off Amazon, let alone a crystal flute once owned by James Madison. The Biden administration is making a mockery of the country. Yeah, the Biden administration has nothing to do with this. This flute belonged to a museum that is not connected to the executive branch of the United States government. So I don't know what the fuck the Biden administration... It's not like the president ordered this. You know, like the way he makes it sound, it's like, oh, I bet Biden was just standing... It's like Biden's like in the White House, you know, sitting in the Oval Office, like coming up with plots on how he can ruin American history. Like Biden is sitting there going, hey guys, I've got a great idea. This'll really fuck those Trump-tards. Let's take James Madison's flute that all these people are obsessed with and give it to a black woman so that she can shake her butt with it. That'll really fucking destroy America. Like, get the fuck out of here. The dumbest fucking shit. People have to listen to the dumb... People believe the dumbest fucking shit. Right? And yes, she is talented, right? That's the thing. She knows how to play the fucking flute. Okay? Right? She's a classically trained flutist. Right? I can guarantee you Nick Adams has no idea about... He has no clue about fucking flute music. He doesn't know anything about this shit. He probably has no idea about Lizzo. I bet you $1 million he's probably never even fucking heard of Lizzo before in his entire life either. Right? He just said this because he's making money pissing people off, because that way his followers will be like, yeah, fuck Lizzo. Transparent bullshit. It's like, and that's what makes it so ridiculous, is because they're lying. We know they're lying. And, you know, but they're doing it anyway. Nick Adams here is lying about this entire thing. He's lying about giving a shit about this. He's simply putting this tweet out here because he knows he'll get a certain amount of engagement. And when he gets that certain amount of engagement, he gets a certain number of clicks, and those clicks translate into dollars. That's the entire reason. And in the meantime, people go off and get obsessed with all of this shit, you know. Their followers just get angrier and angrier and angrier, and then when they lose the fucking election, they can't understand why, and they flip out and, you know, show up and break down the fucking door to the fucking Capitol and stuff, because they think the election got stolen, right? Thanks to Nick Adams and Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh fucking, like, you know, feeding them this stream of hatred for years and years and years. Why do you think all those people came to, you know, why do you think people believe, like, shit like, oh, you know, the election was stolen when there's absolutely no proof? Why do you think people believe that stuff? Why do you think people make excuses for Donald Trump when he, like, you know, Donald Trump's latest fucking fiasco where he, like, got caught red-handed stealing nuclear fucking secrets from the United States government, right? Why do you think he still has, like, a 32% like approval rating among Republicans, which is funny because Donald Trump's approval rating is like totally gone down, but it's still around 32%. Why do you think 32% of Republicans still think Donald Trump's innocent when there's like absolute fucking proof that he did it this time, you know? Because of this diet being because they consume a diet of bullshit day in, day out. When all you're fed is bullshit constantly, lies and bullshit and, you know, untruths, right? When it does more than just misinform you. It creates, you know, people pattern their entire identities around being, you know, a MAGA Republican. And so, you know, I think it's sort of like with any cult, you know, you on the edges of your mind, you know that it's not true, but you want it to be true so much. You want it to be true so much. So they'll gravitate towards things which reinforce that. And that's how these fuckers are making money. Jack Posobiec? Who the fuck is this? Iron Vomit. Oh well, I don't even know who the fuck you are. Whatever. Newsmax contributor and former Trump lawyer Jenna Ellis. Let's see what Jenna Ellis has to say here. Jenna Ellis is incredibly vile, by the way. Jenna Ellis is the one that, if you saw, there's a video of her showing up at the Long Beach Marina, and there was like a gay pride flag, and there's like this video of her just fucking going off, like saying all this like homophobic shit, and you know how it's un-American and all this other stuff, and just being a giant fucking piece of dog turd over it. That's Jenna Ellis, but let's see what she's got to say here.
And in just the last few minutes that I have with you, Ryan, I wanted to turn to this, you know, just crazy pop culture story about Lizzo. And this is just, I think, a beautiful example. Okay, hang on a second. And a perfect example.
If we're going to watch this whole thing, let's just make that a little smaller, and then let's make that full screen. If we're gonna watch this, I mean, we might as well, right? Okay, Lizzo, perfect example. Continue.
It's actually, hideous, but I say it's beautiful in a rhetorical sense because of pop culture and just where the left is looking to shape and move our country. So what happened, and if you haven't watched the video...
Where the left is looking to shape and move our country. So it's the left that did this, right? That's the other thing. The other thing is, like, everything has to be political for these people. So if you ever notice, like, it can't just be, a pop star making music for her fans. There has to be a political element to it. Obviously, she did this on purpose. Obviously, this was, when they say the left, they're sort of implying that it was planned somewhere, like that somebody decided to do this for a purpose, and this really plays into the whole, like, conspiracy element, because everything on the right wing is a conspiracy. So obviously it couldn't have just been like a marketing thing. It couldn't have just been, hey Lizzo, you want to use this flute in your concert tonight? That would be really cool. Yeah, let's do it. It couldn't be that. It's got to be like a plan from some, in some smoky back room somewhere of, like, fucking Hillary Clinton and George Soros and Barack Obama getting together, deciding how they can fucking destroy America a little bit more today. Right. This is the conspiracy mindset. It's playing into the conspiracy theory mindset because, everything happens, it's very nice and convenient to believe that everything in the world happens for a reason. Especially when that reason is to oppress good God-fearing Christians like Jenna Ellis, right? Moving on.
So, do so at your own risk because, Lizzo is basically famous, I think, for being one of the most morbidly obese people in the world who claims that she's oppressed. And yet, she's like a multimillionaire and, very famous.
Jenna Ellis, first off, you don't get to complain about people being fat. I'm sure you can all see her makeup here. Jenna Ellis's makeup is done in such a way to make her look like she's thinner than she actually is. See right here? See if you can see my mouse here. Oh, you probably can't see my mouse, but that's okay. The high cheekbones, they're emphasizing her high cheekbones, right? They're putting a lot of dark makeup around the bottom of her face. That's attempting to hide a double chin. Right. They're putting the smoky eye around her eyes here. It's supposed to make her face look like it has more depth so that it gives the illusion that she's 20 pounds lighter than she actually is. That's what this is. So, yeah, you can't be fat shaming somebody, Jenna Ellis, not when you need to be putting down those Twinkies yourself. Please keep in mind, folks, I am also roughly 25 pounds overweight. I have been for a long time. I'm actually probably in the best shape I've been in 20 years. I have my wife to thank for that. So, it's not like I'm trying to fat shame Jenna Ellis. I'm just calling her out because, how about you get your own house in order there? How about you clean your room there, to quote, Jordan Peterson, conservative fucking super genius Jordan Peterson. How about you keep your own room clean before you bitch about other people's rooms there, Jenna Ellis? Right. And no, it's not like Lizzo is only famous because she's fat. That's bullshit. If anything, Lizzo's weight has probably been a detriment to her being famous. And that's just reality, Because the more skinny and attractive you look, the easier it is to get followers. Especially when you're a woman. I don't think any woman out there is going to disagree with me. That's just reality. That is, part of the thing that's wrong with this country. The fact that, especially when it comes to women, it's all about looks. That's, whatever reason you want to ascribe to that, whether it's patriarchy or whether that's, you know, just fucking, I don't know. I think it is. I think that's like, you know, an element of the patriarchy, right? You know, that's sort of an oppressive thing that's ingrained in our society, and you know, whether it's whatever reason you think causes it, it's definitely true. It definitely happens, right? So no, it's not like Lizzo. It's not like it's like if Lizzo was like skinny and like athletic, she wouldn't be famous. She'd probably be fucking more famous. Anyway.
But she gets on stage in this really hideous outfit that is wildly inappropriate, and apparently is it like this?
Why is it inappropriate? Because she's fat. That's why it's inappropriate. If she was, once again, skinny and athletic and, you know, white, we wouldn't be talking about this. Her outfit wouldn't be inappropriate if she wasn't fat, right? That's the number one thing here, right? Secondly, we wouldn't be talking about this if she wasn't black. That is also to remember, you know. So suddenly, that's why. So this is all, you know, please explain to me, right? If that's not what she's saying, then what the fuck does she mean? Why is it inappropriate? Right? Let's move that over a little bit. Why would her outfit be inappropriate? Why would it be vulgar if it's not because she's fat and not white? Right? Explain it to me. You can't explain it to me because I'm correct. Moving on.
Smithsonian or the National Archives or something actually allowed her to be the first person in United States history to play the crystal flute from James Madison.
See, she didn't even know where it was from. The Smithsonian or the National Archives or something. Jenna Ellis, did you not do any research about this? Right? Do you not know who owned the crystal fucking flute? Right? It was like a museum. I don't know who owned it, but, you know, I don't have a fucking national TV show. Right? Let's see. Where did the fucking flute come from? Okay. James Madison. Flute was gifted to Madison and had been maintained by the Library of Congress. Okay, there you go. Library of Congress, right. So, get your shit together there, James, you know, Jenna Ellis. Moving on.
This is just desecration purposefully of America's history, and this just shows how much the left is laughing.
Desecration of American history, of course. Because, you know, after she played this flute here, she, like, you know, she took the flute and, like, beat a bald eagle to death with it. Right. And then she used the flute to, like, dig up James Madison's corpse. And, like, a bunch of, you know, LGBTQ activists took turns fucking anally raping the corpse. And then removed James Madison's name out of all national documents and books, and we airbrushed his, like, you know, pictures and stuff. Well, I guess they didn't have photographs, but we did it anyway. You know, we got rid of his portrait, and now James Madison has been completely removed from, you know, all of our national documents and our official American history. In fact, it wasn't really James Madison, it was James Brown. James Brown went back in time and took over as the fourth president of the United States. And that's the official history now. That's what we did after this, you know. That's how we desecrated the history, you know. And we did it with this flute, right? In fact, we went back in time, right, and we murdered, you know, James Mason with it, and John Hancock, and George Washington, and all the other signers of the you know, Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. We used this flute. We sharpened it into, like, you know, like a blowgun kind of thing, and, like, so you could, like, stab people with it and then shoot poison darts out of it. And we killed all of the founding fathers. This is what we did. We did it this morning. I was there. I was at the official George Soros Jewish space laser time travel meeting, you know, because I got to get my Soros bucks. Like, that's what we did with the flute after this, right? And then Lizzo stuck the flute in her ass and farted out a C, like, you know, farted out a song, right? She farted out a new song that was called "Fuck America," you know. because liberals. That was the name of the song. Fuck America because liberals. So, anyway, just want to make sure that we're clear that, you know, American history has been totally officially, you know, desecrated. All right.
At American history, and they want to put somebody like Lizzo up to be like, oh yeah, now you've made history, honey. It's disgusting, it's depraved, and I don't care what anybody says. That woman is super unhealthy. She is absolutely not a role model in any way, shape, or form, and she is not oppressed. So, Ryan...
See, she just... and as we're watching, as she's saying all this hateful shit, you know, she's super unhealthy, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, she's not oppressed. You could watch what happened. The entire thing happened, and it was 30 seconds. She played the flute. She gave it back. They're putting it back in the fucking box, right? It's not like she took the flute and then, like, launched a missile out of the flute that, like, blew up fucking Mount Rushmore or something. Like, right? Like, that's not, you know... You know, it's not like she went, like, and took the flute and, like, slaughtered every fucking national bird with it, right? And, like, killed all of the turkeys and the fucking, I don't know, what's the California national bird? Like, the fucking blue jay or something? You know, and then, like, ass-raped a bunch of, like, bald eagles with it, you know? And then, like, personally, like, use the flute to, like, deliver, like, the fucking, you know... Constitution to fucking Vladimir Putin. It's not like she did anything like that with it, right? They put it back in the goddamn box, and then the concert continued. Why is this such a big fucking deal? Why did people get angry over the dumbest fucking shit? I don't understand.
And your thoughts on this story?
When I first watched the video, it came to mind the late Joan Rivers. Who are you wearing? It was a disgusting outfit. And for them to give such a piece of history, and she be the first one to play it.
See, another thing, you notice how they're always, like, especially these two assholes, I don't even know who this other asshole is, right? But Jenna Ellis and her fucking, like, you know, sidekick here, right? When, you notice how all they can really do is say that she's fat and gross. It's because they don't have any actual substance. Let's turn this shit off, alright? Let's turn this shit off. It doesn't actually have any actual substance. When you can't name, like, an actual reason why you don't like something, and all you can do is bitch and moan about it, and how it looks stupid, and blah, 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 blah. And when you're complaining about the way somebody looks, that's a good indication that you don't actually have anything of substance to say. What's the real criticism there? Why is it such a big fucking deal for this woman to play a flute for 30 seconds? Like, literally 30 seconds. You know, if even that. Why is it such a big deal? How does it desecrate, right, American history? I mean, at least that dumbass fucking libertarian article we read attempted to come up with a fucking reason. Even though their reason was fucking stupid, didn't make any sense, was dumb, right? And, like, had no basis in fucking reality. At least they tried to come up with a reason by claiming that, you know, James Madison was a fucking patron of the arts and shit. Who gives a fuck if he was? Or whatever, you know? But these people don't have a reason at all. Their reason is, why? Because she's fat. That's why. She's fat and jiggly, and that's why it desecrates America. Get the fuck out of my face. It's the dumbest shit. Oh my god. So anyway. Yeah, that happened. Some other dumb shit that, you know, conservatives have lost their minds over recently is the fact that the Little Mermaid is played by a black actress in the latest Disney live-action Little Mermaid movie. Your first problem is giving a shit that Disney made a live-action Little Mermaid in the first place. So, anybody out there who's complaining that the color of the mermaid's skin is wrong, you already lost. Your first fucking mistake was caring that they even made this movie in the first place. If you do not like the way a movie looks, for whatever reason, that is your right. You have a right to go, this movie looks like a pile of shit. The correct response after that is to then not watch the movie. That is the correct response. When somebody says, "Hey, this movie looks stupid," the correct response is to then not watch the movie. Is then to not spend your money on it, to not go to the theater to watch it, to not watch it on the fucking streaming service, and to not devote any of your precious brain power to it ever for the rest of your life. That's what normal, ordinary, functioning adults do. Because life is short, folks. We are all going to die someday, which means that we have a limited amount of time on this earth, and if you're going to spend your time bitching and moaning about shit that you don't want to watch, then you're a moron. And you should not, the solution is don't fucking watch it. That's the solution. If you don't like how The Little Mermaid is the wrong color, do not watch The Little Mermaid movie. And there you go. You'll never have to deal with that ever again in your entire life. The same way that I thought the Emoji movie looked like a pile of shit, and I didn't see it. The same way that I thought the Sonic the Hedgehog movie looked fucking stupid, and I didn't watch it. Although I did eventually buy it on Blu-ray, and, still haven't watched it, but I have it on Blu-ray, and I'm planning on watching it. But you know why? Because people told me it was good. So I'm like, alright, well maybe I'll give it a chance. Right? But did I go see it in the theater? Nope. Why? Because it looked stupid. Right? Did I go see the Emoji movie in the theater? No. Why? It looked fucking dumb. Alright? Did I go see the fucking live action, Mulan movie? No. Why? No interest. Didn't look cool. I already have the animated one. The animated one's pretty good. The live action Aladdin, did I see that? Nope. Why? Look fucking stupid. I don't care. Live action, no. The original animated one is better. Right? Why is Disney making these dumbass cash grabby piles of shit, in order to fucking get within nostalgia dollars? I already give Disney enough money because of Marvel. Because I actually kind of like, Marvel stuff. So it's like, fuck it, I'm not going to go watch this dumb movie. And that's what you should do. That's what you should do if you think something looks stupid. And, no one is under any obligation to like anything. Okay, so I don't care if somebody doesn't like, say, for example, whatever movie comes out, Star Wars or whatever, fine, don't watch it. If you don't, you're not under any obligation to like anything. You can like whatever you like, and you can not like whatever you don't like, and you don't need a reason. You don't need a reason to not like something, How come you don't like this? It looks fucking dumb. The end. Why does it look dumb? I don't know, I don't like it. I don't have to fucking justify myself. Looks stupid. Mortal Engines. There you go. That's a movie that appeals to my demographic and my, I didn't see Mortal Engines. Why? The concept is dumb to me. Giant people that live on giant tanks that fight each other. Kind of sounds like it would be something that's awesome, right? Trailer looked a little stupid. Concept was kind of dumb. Didn't watch it. There you go. I don't know. Maybe it's a good movie. Maybe I'll give it a chance one of these days. Not gonna fucking bother. Alright. It's like, something like watching, what's that movie, White Chicks. You ever watch that movie? Like, two black guys dressed up as white girl. But that doesn't appeal to me. I don't care. It looks stupid. I'm not gonna waste my time with it. It could be the best movie on earth. That's probably fine. But if my initial reaction is it looks dumb, I'm not gonna go see it. And that is perfectly 100% acceptable. It doesn't matter what the movie is. Transformers, there's another one. I saw the first Transformers movie. It was a pile of shit. I do not like the Transformers movie. I have not seen the other fucking 17 Transformers movies that they made, and I probably will never watch them unless, I don't know, I'm absolutely bored and have nothing else to watch, and then maybe I'll watch it, because time is precious, and who has time to watch shit that they think looks stupid? Nobody. What do I do not do? What I don't do is then sit and make bitch and moan about these movies that I don't want to watch, and then make 50 billion videos about how these movies are stupid and I don't want to watch them. That is not what I do, right? Because it's a waste of time and it's dumb and nobody gives a fuck if you don't like something, you know? But there's an entire industry out there now of, once again, right-wing, conservative, diaper-filling pearl clutchers who lose their fucking minds whenever a movie comes out that looks halfway woke for whatever reason. And they do everything they can to make 50 billion videos about said movie, and then they always wonder, why did this movie make all this money? Maybe it was because you gave it 50 billion hours of free fucking advertising when you couldn't shut the fuck up about it for 5 seconds. Like, for example, the Captain Marvel movie. You remember Captain Marvel? And people, like, say, you know, got mad at it because Brie Larson, whatever, blah, blah, blah. She said some fucking, I don't know. She said some politically correct remarks. And, of course, it's nothing like political correctness to make the right wing mad at certain things, right? And what happened? They made 50 million fucking YouTube videos. People like The Quartering and, like, you know, all of his imitators and stuff like that. Made fucking 500,000 YouTube videos about why Captain Marvel sucks, and then couldn't understand when Captain Marvel went on to make like $3 billion. Gee, how come this movie made so much goddamn money? Well, maybe you fucking morons who wouldn't shut the hell up about it for 5 fucking seconds, you know, maybe that contributed a little bit to the movie getting pushed up in the algorithm. Well, that, and also because it was the lead into Endgame, and that's why everybody went to see it in real life. But still, you get my point, folks. And this is the same thing that's going on with the Black Little Mermaid. This here is Matt Walsh, right? Here's a Media Matters article, because I don't like going to the Daily Wire, because it gives the Daily Wire clicks and views, and Google already thinks that I'm some kind of like fucking right-wing, like insane person, because I search for all this shit. Daily Wire host says it's unscientific to cast a black person as a mermaid. Matt Walsh here, of course, is, here's Matt Walsh with his dumbass suit and his stupid fucking beard. I wonder if Matt Walsh just doesn't have a chin, and that's why he has the beard. Here's a hint for all you guys out there. Beards do not make you manly, right? They just make your fucking face itch like crazy and make you look like, you know, a lumberjack or something, which is great if you live in Canada and you're like, you know, up in the Yukon actually living in the woods. But if you're not a real life lumberjack, why do you fucking look like one? You just look like an idiot. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of beards, you know. And here's the thing, I could grow a full beard like easy. I am like the hairiest motherfucker on earth. You guys don't even know. You haven't seen my back. My back is like fucking, I look like Austin Powers and shit with the body hair. Like, you know, I got that perfect combination of like European and Southeast Asian sort of genes where like hair just spurns. I have hair on my fucking toes, for crying out loud. I'm not even kidding. I'm a hairy motherfucker. So the beard doesn't impress me, is what I'm trying to say. You know, like, beards do not make you look tough. You notice Ben Shapiro in that video we were watching also was trying to grow a beard because he knows that his face is all weird and doughy, and he like has the body of a 12-year-old, so he's trying to look tough. That's why these dumbasses wear beards, right? Because it's like, it's basically it's like a security blanket, because they're all fucking insecure about like being wimpy and shit, and they know they gotta look tough for their audience, because, you know, real men watch fucking Matt Walsh, whatever, fucking ridiculous. Let's see what this asshole has to say.
All right, Max Winter says, a black actor playing the Little Mermaid really is a case of white erasure. All forms of art, including fairy tales, are meant to be...
White erasure? Whoa. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to make that bigger. How the fuck is it? All right, let's start that over real fast. Sorry. White erasure, huh?
All right, Max Winter says, a black actor playing the Little Mermaid really is a case of white erasure. All forms of art, including fairy tales, are meant to be reflections of the author's experiences and observations. Hans Christian Andersen probably based the Little Mermaid based on experiences he went through in his home country of Denmark. So,
white erasure. Okay. Hans Christian Andersen based The Little Mermaid on experiences that he had personally. So, are you trying to say that Hans Christian Andersen wrote The Little Mermaid based on real mermaids? I mean, that's what he just said. Did he not say that he based it on his own experiences? So, are you trying to say that Hans Christian Andersen really in real life has experiences with mermaids? I mean, that kind of sounds to me that would be dumb and idiotic. So he based it on, what, his experiences in Denmark? I mean, here's the thing, folks. Every writer bases the things they write on their own personal experience. Right? What are you going to base it on, somebody else's experience? I mean, unless you're doing, what, a fucking, I don't know, biography or something, right? I don't think anybody's going to say that The Little Mermaid is a biography. So fucking obviously it's based on his experience. How does that equate to white erasure, though? You notice how they threw that line in there? Oh, this is white erasure. And then they say a bunch of shit that has nothing to do with white erasure, right? It's like, how does any of this have to do with, like, white erasure? Like, we're trying, like, so casting a black woman as a mermaid somehow is part of some plot to remove the white race from, I'm assuming, the Earth. Right? How do these things track? It's sort of like they just threw that word in there, white erasure, in order to, you know, be a dog whistle for fucking Matt Walsh's neo-Nazi, like, you know, the neo-Nazi audience there that are most definitely tuning in to watch this piece of shit. It's almost like that was just sort of like a dog whistle in there. Like he's just throwing them a bone so that, you know, it triggers with them emotionally, and then he says a bunch of shit that has nothing to do with white erasure. I don't understand. Moving on.
So it makes sense that most of his characters would be white, since that's the world and the people he was surrounded by.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm given the way that we deal with these sorts of issues, I'm sympathetic to that. Now, I would be fine, like we talked.
All right, where's the erasure part come in? Explain that, please.
Talked about yesterday. We don't have to rehash the entire thing, but if we all agreed that race in films and TV shows, especially fictional stories, don't matter, and we're going to take a kind of colorblind casting approach, and you know, it doesn't matter as long as the actor is good. If we could all agree on that, then I'd be on board. And as I said, that's basically what it was for many years. What it was.
First off, no, he wouldn't be on board. He's lying. Secondly, it's never been about that. Okay, it's been about the characters. All right, it's not about, you know, the race of the actor. It's about the characterization of your character, right? I made a video when Ghost in the Shell came out because, you know, I'm part Asian, right? And a lot of Asian people got pissed when Scarlett Johansson played Major, you know, what's her name? Kusanagi or whatever, you know, the main character in Ghost in the Shell. I defended that movie. Why did I defend that movie? Because it's a good movie. All right. If you haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, it's actually not half bad. It's a pretty good adaptation of the anime, right? Number one. Number two, it's never like, you know, it's not a essential part of the character that the character has a Japanese face. Okay. And even in the movie, they sort of lean into that, you know, in Ghost in the Shell, they actually make it part of the movie that she is originally a Japanese person who is inside of a Caucasian android, right? Because the whole theme of the movie is sort of like this sort of like body dysmorphia theme, you know? That's the entire point of the movie, is that what you see on the outside does not equate to what the person is on the inside. And what does it really mean then? You know, like, because most people, that's how they sort of identify themselves. I mean, most people identify with their race, their gender, you know, stuff like that. The whole theme of Ghost in the Shell, at least that movie, is, well, when you take those things away from somebody, what actually makes the person you, right? When you can take a brain and put it in a completely brand new body, right, that does not look or act or sound or even is not even the same outward race as the original person, what does that mean to be you, right? That's why I defended that choice. Because it's not about your race. It's not about what Matt Walsh just said. You know, who cares about the race as long as it's the you know, a good actor? No, it's never been about that. It's been about the characterization of the character. And race matters when it comes to the characterization of a character. You could, for example, it would be wrong to have a non-black person play Black Panther. What do I mean by that? It would even be wrong to have somebody like, say, The Rock. You know, The Rock is like, what, isn't he like half black? If he were to play Black Panther, that still wouldn't be right. Because the entire character of the Black Panther is about an African prince from Africa who is African, right? And who is black. There's an actual, you know, there is a racial component to that character. It would be wrong, right? Contrast that with Hemidal from Thor. They cast, what's his name, Alba. You know, I can't remember the Idris Alba or whatever the guy's name is, who played Hemidal, right? People got mad at that because, you know, Norse people are white, right? They just are. It's people who are from, you know, Norse Vikings and shit like that. They're all white. There really were no black Vikings, not really, right? I mean, I know that the Vikings did take slaves of non-white people and may have interbred with some of them, but it's not like there was a, you know, it's not like black Vikings were a thing, so why is this guy from Norse mythology being played by a black person? It's because it doesn't matter. It's because the character of Hemidal, or characters of, you know, first off, they're not tied to the race, right? It shouldn't matter, you know, if they're supposed to be space aliens, right? The, you know, fucking Asgardians in Marvel are supposed to be space aliens, right? It makes perfect sense that aliens would also have racial phenotypes represented in their race as well, right? I mean, are there no places in Asgard where it's hot, where people would naturally develop melanin, stuff like that, you know? Are there no sort of like sub-Saharan type areas in, you know, ever that any of these people were ever exposed to that would develop the sort of same, you know, the same racial characteristics? I mean, it makes perfect sense, right? This is why, for example, you know, I don't know if you guys remember, like, that's why it's not a big deal. Like, do you remember in Star Trek Voyager, you know, you had a black, you know, you had Tuvok, the black Vulcan, right? That people made a big deal over that, too. I know that was 30 years ago or whatever. That caused outrage as well. Oh, black Vulcan, big deal, right? That actually fits the lore better than having pasty white Vulcans, like Spock. You know, seeing the lore for Vulcans. They're supposed to come from like a dry desert planet. It makes more sense that they would have darker skin, right? Ultimately, none of this matters because these are fictional characters, and it doesn't matter, right? What matters is how you characterize them, and does race is race one of the main characterizations of that character? Like, I'll give you an example where it's it would be a white person. For example, Danny Rand, right, from Iron Fist. Whiteness is inherent to Danny Rand's character. His entire character is Danny Rand is a white person that goes to this mystical Asian sort of heaven realm and, you know, suffers through discrimination because he's white, because they say that, you know, he's not even, you know, he's a white man, how come we're giving him the Iron Fist, right? That's part of his character. And he overcomes it, and he earns it, and in the comics and in the show, they mention this as well. But also in the comics, he's constantly being challenged by people from Kunlun, from Asian people from Kunlun, who think that he doesn't deserve his title because he's a white person. That's a theme that's in the comics, and it's been in the comics for fucking in the Iron Fist comics. That's a theme that's been in the Iron Fist comics since the 70s. Right, so there you go. It would not make sense to have Iron Fist be played by someone who isn't white. You know, I guess conceivably you could have a black person play Iron Fist and it would be the same thing, but I don't know if the dynamic would be the same. You know, I mean, maybe it would work. But, you know, you see my point. There are points where it's like, you know, or here's another one. The Red Skull. The Red Skull is a white person from Germany, right? The Red Skull would not work if he was played by any other race because the Red Skull is a white supremacist, right? He's a villain. You know, the Red Skull is the main bad guy in Captain America, right? Would not work if somebody else played the Red Skull. If the Red Skull was played by a black person, the Red Skull was played by an Asian person, or somebody, Southeast Asian, somebody from India or Pakistan, something like that. Wouldn't work, right? His race is tied to the character, same way the Black Panther's race is tied to their character, right? When it works is when the race is not tied to the character, then you can have anybody play whatever they want, you know? What's her name? Tilda Swinton plays the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. Why does it work? Because the race of that character doesn't matter. Baron Mordo in Doctor Strange in the movie is played by a black person. In the comics, he's white. Why does that work? Because it doesn't fucking matter. Right? Doesn't matter at all. What the race of Baron Mordo is, no one gives a shit. In the Fantastic Four movie that came out in 2014, you know, they had a black person playing Johnny Storm. You know, the fucking Human Torch. Does it matter? No. Right? Because his name is not Johnny White Person Storm. His name is Johnny Storm. Works exactly fine, right? So, why is it such a big fucking deal if the Little Mermaid is black? You know, especially since mermaids do not exist. Mermaids are not a real thing. Who knows what fucking color a real-life mermaid would be? I'll tell you what a color a real-life mermaid would be. Fish-colored. They would probably look like a salmon or some shit. Right? They might look like a tropical fish. They might have tons of colors all over the place. I think I'm going to draw that, actually. Tropical fish mermaid, that'd be kind of awesome. Let's finish this fucking asshole up and get out of here.
Was back in the 90s.
All right, hang on, let's go back a little bit.
Abide by in films and TV shows, especially fictional stories, don't matter. And we're going to take a kind of colorblind casting approach. And, you know, it doesn't matter as long as the actor is good. If we could all agree on that, then I'd be on board. And as I said, that's basically what it was for many years.
It was never like that, by the way. What he just said, no, it was never like that. More often than not, especially back in the 70s and 80s and 90s, black characters would be recast as white characters all the time, especially when it came to comic books and fantasy and shit like that. Any of you guys remember the Spawn movie? 1997, Todd McFarlane's Spawn? You ever read Spawn? It's actually pretty good, believe it or not. Spawn is, you know, it's about a guy who dies and goes to hell because he was like a CIA like special operative who murders people for a living. And it just so happens when you murder people for a living, you go to hell, right? And the thing is, Spawn is about, so it's a guy named Al Simmons. Spawn is black. His family is black, right? And Todd McFarlane did that on purpose because he was tired of perfect white superheroes, and he wanted to actually do a sort of gritty one where the guy wasn't like a sort of Superman, square-jawed, corn-fed, beautiful, you know what I mean? He wanted to do one where it was, so Spawn is like burnt up, you know, his skin is all fucked up, he's like, he was burned alive and all that. And he made him black on purpose, right? He made him black on purpose specifically to, you know, because he didn't want to have just another generic, you know, generic basic bitch superhero, right? And also because black superheroes, especially back in the 80s and 90s, were always sort of second fiddle. You know, yeah, there were black superheroes, but you wouldn't see them as like having, you know, their own AAA titles and stuff like that. They were always just sort of like in the background and shit, you know. And in the Spawn movie, they recast, so there's a character named Terry Fitzgerald who, after Spawn bites it and goes to hell, Terry Fitzgerald is sort of his best friend who remarries his wife and stuff like that. And Terry Fitzgerald is black. And in the Spawn movie, they made Terry Fitzgerald white. And I remember reading about this way back in 1997, because, you know, Spawn's fucking awesome. Why is he white? And there was an interview with Todd McFarlane, and he said, we did this because we didn't want the Spawn movie to be stereotyped as a black movie. In so many words. He said it in a much more... Reconnection successful. Okay. Well, I'm just going to assume that I'm still streaming. Right. Can I hear myself here? Okay. Anyway. Sorry about that. I thought I had that fixed. Long story short, yes, that was most definitely a thing that happened many, many times where black people, characters that are black, and especially characters that were like Asian or like Latino were constantly cast with white actors. And not just like sometimes they would even just like, you know, not just changing the race of a character. Sometimes they wouldn't change the race of a character, and they would cast a white person anyway, who would, especially the older you get, the more likely you'll find that. White people playing Asian characters, white people using blackface, shit like that. So that is most definitely a fucking thing. So when Matt Walsh says, oh, if we could just agree that casting is colorblind, casting has never fucking been colorblind, right? What he's suggesting never existed. I just want to understand that.
Was back in the 90s. But what I cannot abide by is the double standard thing where we say, well, the casting, the race in casting matters only for certain races and not for others. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, no one's saying that, right? No one is saying that, you know, what the casting of race for, you know, if you're black or Asian, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't know where he's pulling this shit. See, how does this affect that? Is this pulling this right out of his ass? Is he going to explain this? I bet you $1 million fucking dollars he doesn't explain that what he just said.
Also, by the way, with The Little Mermaid, can we also just mention that just from a scientific perspective, okay, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have someone with darker skin who lives deep in the ocean. I mean, if anything, not only should The Little Mermaid be pale, she should actually be translucent. If you look at deep sea creatures, they're like translucent. They have no kind of pigmentation whatsoever. And they're just like these horrifying, they look like skeletons floating around in the ocean. That's what the Little Mermaid should look like. She should be totally pale and skeletal, where you can see
Jesus
her
Christ.
skull through her face.
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Okay, first off, scientifically speaking, mermaids do not exist, so science doesn't fucking matter. It's fantasy. These are half fish people from mythology. They can be whatever color they want. Okay? You can make them purple if you wanted to. You can make them green. Like, you could, like I just said earlier, you could make them fucking, you know, rainbow colored. Right? If you felt like it. You can make them look like tropical fish if you wanted to. You can make them look like dolphins. You know, there are whales and dolphins that have dark skin. You know, there are brown whales and shit. There are like blue dolphins, like blue whales, that kind of thing. So why is it unscientific? You know, you don't have to. I mean, yeah, okay, there are deep sea creatures that are translucent. That'd be kind of creepy to have like a fucking translucent, like glowing mermaid with like bioluminescent, like glowing shit. That'd be kind of awesome. But it's like, the thing is, it's not, you know, the scientific, like, you know, when he says scientifically speaking, science has nothing to fucking do with it. It doesn't matter. It could be whatever fucking color you want it to be. You know, in the Little Mermaid animated one, you know, you have Ursula. She's like purple. Right? It doesn't fucking matter. So, no, it's not like scientifically the mermaid should be white. The only reason you would give a fuck about this at all is, once again, like we said earlier, let's turn this fucking moron off. I can't watch this fucking guy for more than like 2 seconds, you know, he's a fucking moron. We only had like 15 seconds of this bullshit left anyway, let's get rid of that. Once again, folks, like I said, it's all because, you know, if they would have made this movie and it was a white person doing it, wouldn't have been a problem. I bet you $1 million if they had a Latino person, right, cast as the Little Mermaid. Or even an Asian woman. If they had an Asian woman cast as a Little Mermaid, I bet you $1 million that this controversy would not be as big. They probably would have mentioned it and that's it, right? It's because it's a black person, right? That's why. Okay, it's because it's a black person who is being successful at something, and that's what's actually triggering, you know, triggering Matt Walsh here, triggering Ben Shapiro, triggering fucking Liz, whatever the fuck that person's was, that from Media Matters that we watched that video for. I can't remember her name. That's what's actually making these people mad, right? Because they can't fucking handle it that a black woman is being successful at something, right? They can't handle that. They can't handle the fact that a black person is actually making money at something and being successful. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Why, you know, because every fucking time we see it in the news, black person successful, it becomes the latest target in this dumb shit culture war. Every time. I don't know, folks. It's all such bullshit. Just don't listen to their lies. You know, when they tell you it's not about race, yes, it's about race. Okay, when they try to tell you it's like, you know, degrading American culture, you notice he didn't explain that at all. He didn't try to even give any justification. What, like when he said white erasure, he didn't try to like justify that sentence whatsoever. He couldn't explain how the fuck does changing the race of like a fictional character in a movie the same thing as white erasure. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. What the fuck does white erasure even mean? How the fuck do you erase an entire race? It doesn't... It's bullshit. It's... I don't know. These people are so fucking... And that's the thing about all of this that makes it, like, so ridiculous, right? Is that they're not honest actors. They're not, you know... They're not being honest about any of this stuff. Right. You know, they're doing it, they're lying to your face about all of these things in order to piss people off. That's really what all of this is. It's just to make people angry so that they'll fucking get those outrage clicks. It really is quite sad. Anyway, folks, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I should have said that in the beginning. I need to get up on out of here. So if you like what I do and you want to see more of my stuff, this here's my DeviantArt site. That's my gallery. Please check me out there. I have an Etsy shop. You can buy something if you want to give me some money. I have, you know, prints and comics and things like that on my Etsy shop. You've seen it all here, blah, blah, blah. I have a webcomic that I've been working on. It has ninjas in it. It has talking ducks. It has people getting punched in the face. I have another YouTube channel where I talk about toys and games. Mostly toys. Been doing a lot of toy reviews lately. I actually have a few more videos on here that I've actually done, so please come check it out. And all of that stuff. Thank you guys once again for joining. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Adversary Fandon. Thank you, Mr. Natnek. Sorry, I can't really pronounce your first name. And everybody else who came and joined me today, really appreciate it. And I will see you all next Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Adios, folks.